Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Zombie Slayer Mister, and today we're going to be doing a guide for the attack of the radioactive thing. The guide has the intention of being the most straightforward, up-to-date guide with the most up-to-date strategies for attack of the radioactive thing, and it should make it as easy as possible regardless if you have director's cut or if you haven't done this Easter egg before. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into my recommended setup for this Easter egg. So to start off, we're going to be looking at some of the fate cards. You have an unlimited amount of these, so these are going to be the cards that I recommend that you use, as fortune cards require you to open up rare supply drops, and you may not have a lot of them. So our first card up, we have Mana Up, which allows you to regenerate health faster. This card won't be used until later in the Easter egg during the boss fight, and it allows you to skip over one of the more infamously difficult steps in the boss fight, which is the laser step. And we'll get to that once I show the step later on in the video. Now, to save some time in this section of the video, I'm going to go ahead and show the other fate cards that I recommend. Most of them are either to get points early on in the game, or to help with damage later on when you're in like the boss fight, or as well as, you know, getting infinite grenades if you're able to get gas grenades. All of these cards kind of self-explanatory, and it's the cards that I recommend for pretty much any map if you don't have director's cut. Now, if you do find yourself out here balling with fortune cards, one fortune card that I would recommend if you do not have director's cut is Perk Insured. It allows you to keep your perks upon dying, and it is extremely helpful if you find yourself dying a lot, especially in the boss fight where you can't get your perks back. And finally, the last card that I'm going to talk about extensively that I recommend is Explosive Touch. Now, if you have a lot of these, I would highly recommend it for the boss fight, as it allows you to cheese the first phase of the boss fight and makes it extremely easy and simple to do. And you'll see later on in the video why that is once we actually get to breaking down the phases of the boss fight. And lastly, to finish out this setup section, we're going to talk about some different weapons that you can use during the boss fight. So a couple of my suggestions here revolve around weapons to take out the Krog eggs at the end of the boss fight. Things like the FHR, the Mauler, the VPR, and the Auger are all really good options. And then finally, without a doubt, you want to be using the Kindle 44 pistols, and especially if you have them, be using the extended clip attachment. With all that said, let's go ahead and finally get into how to complete this Easter egg. So the first thing you're going to want to do is work on getting power turned on. You want to make your way down to the beach, and coming out of the sand will be the zombie hand, and in its hand will be a power handle. You want to take this to the other side of the map, closer towards the spawn where the power station is, and put it into the power box to flip on the power. So next up is another major thing that we're going to need to go ahead and get set up, which is Pack-a-Punch. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make your way to this ice cream shop near spawn, and in this room here next to the Ghost and Skulls machine, you'll see a safe that contains a book. Once you've grabbed the book, you want to make your way over to the TV station on the other side of the map, and inside the TV station you'll find Elvira. You want to give her the book, and she'll give you some dialogue and carry on for a minute, and she'll give you a green vial at the end of her dialogue. The next thing you're going to want to do is make your way to the beachside market, and behind this counter near Deadeye Dewdrops, you're going to find the cleaver stuck inside of a shark. You're going to need this for filling up the vial, as you need to get melee kills using the cleaver. So you can open up the scoreboard to check your progress while you're filling up the vial. And once the vial is filled up, you want to go back to Elvira, hand her in the vial, and she'll get up off of her couch and start fighting against the zombies with you. Once she's up off of the couch, you want to walk outside the TV station on this side, and you'll see this very faint portal looking thing outside the TV station. You want to lead Elvira to this portal, and she'll do some wizardry magic stuff, and the Pack-a-Punch portal will appear. You can go through it, Pack-a-Punch, and we'll be coming here later during the Easter egg. So to start this next section, we're going to be collecting 3 different mirrors. The first mirror can be found as soon as Elvira gets up out of her couch and Willard shuts up talking about what he's talking about. You'll get a prompt that Elvira is no longer here when you go up to the couch, and you'll be able to pick up the mirror. So for the next two mirrors, you're going to need the crowbar, which can be found near the pool. You want to go up these stairs to the left of bomb stoppers, and it's in this little maintenance area. So once you pick up the crowbar, you want to make your way to the RV camp, and in the bathrooms, you want to melee this mirror and pick up the mirror shard that drops into the sink. Finally, outside the beachside market, there is going to be a car parked outside, and you want to hit the mirror with your crowbar and pick it up off the ground. Now for this next section, we're going to be picking up 3 different bomb parts around the map. So the first bomb part you can find is down at the beach, and it's going to be in this back section under the bridge at the end of this little creek area. The next bomb piece can be found right up the pathway from the previous one. You want to open up this door, and underneath the red car you will find the next piece. Now the last bomb piece can be found outside of Elvira's studio on the other side. You want to go up to where this gate is, and outside the gate is the last bomb piece. Now another 3 parts that we need to collect are 3 parts for the chemical station that we're going to be using later on. So the first part for that is going to be found in the beachside market in the office area. You'll find it right up here on the left on the couch. So the next part that we're going to be looking for is between the beach area and the RV area. In this path, you'll see a picnic table that's covered that will have the next part.
Welcome to the other side of town where things get worse. Much worse.
Finally, the last part for this chem station can be found in the RV area on this picnic table that is also covered. Alright, so next up we're going to be getting the bomb code that's going to be used later on in the boss fight. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have the crowbar found in the little maintenance shack near bomb stoppers. Alright, so next head to the beachside market, and in the little office area you're going to find a desk, and if you prone and look underneath this desk, you'll see a code that is 4 digits long. You want to memorize this code, write it down, and we're going to be inputting this into multiple different valves around the map. And there's no particular order that you need to do these numbers in. You just need to make sure that each valve has one of the numbers from your code. So the first one is going to be here behind the gas station, and you just want to melee the valve when it's on your number. So my number is 8, so I'm going to melee it when it's on 8. So the next valve can be found in the same area where you get the crowbar. You just want to walk through this door, and immediately you turn, you'll see it down here, and you just want to melee your next number. Alright, so the next valve can be found in the same area where Quickies is, near the snack shack. You just want to go right here and melee in your next number. And finally, the last location for the valve can be found in the power station behind this little building near Blue Bolts. You want to go ahead and melee in your last number. Now we can go and collect the bomb code from the safe in the same room where you got the original code for the valves. This safe should now be open. Just go ahead and collect that code, and make sure that you write this code down, as once we get into the boss fight and you actually have to put in this code, you won't be able to check the scoreboard to look at the code. So for this next section, we're going to be building a zombie body, and for this first part, we're going to need the seismic wave generator that you can find at the ice cream shop. So right here, you're going to pick up the blueprint, and inside the little room where you picked up Elvira's book, you're going to place the blueprint down. After you place the blueprint down, you're going to go outside here, and on the red bench outside the ice cream shop, you're going to find the first part. So go ahead and throw that onto the bench. The second part is right outside the ice cream shop on this little corner here. Go ahead and pick that up, throw that onto the bench. And then the last part is going to be found over here next to these porta potties. You want to pick it up, and then go throw the last part onto the bench and pick up the completed seismic wave generator. So make your way back down to the beach, and if you'll remember, we picked up the power handle from a hand that came out of the sand, and it went down into the sand. What we're going to do is we're going to place the seismic wave generator down on that spot, and the hand is going to raise back out of the sand. And we're going to wait until the seismic wave generator breaks, and then we're going to pick up the hand, and that'll be our first zombie body part. So the next part can be found in the RV camp, and it's going to be in this little fire pit next to one of the RVs close to the entrance. It's a little bit finicky. The hitbox is kind of hard to hit, so you'll maybe have to jump and move around quite a bit, but eventually you'll be able to pick it up and you can move on to the next part. So the next part's going to be outside Elvira's TV station on the Bang Bang side. You're going to make your way over to this gate where this tree is, and you're going to throw a grenade, and you want it to explode directly onto the tree, and the leg will fall out of the tree and you can pick it up and move on to the next part. So for this next part, we're going to need two things. Over here by the gas station, there is going to be a control box that you can get for the freezer trap in the beachside market. And you're also going to need the crowbar. Make your way into the beachside market, and in the little freezer area by Deadeye Dewdrops, you're going to place the box, turn on the trap, and you can melee this body of meat, which will reveal the zombie body behind it. So now for this next part, you are going to need the cleaver, and you're going to want to make your way up to at least round 5. Round 5, you'll start to notice these green mist zombies that will spawn in, and the first one that you melee with the cleaver will drop its leg, which you can pick up, and we can move on to the last part of the zombie body. Now for this last part, you are going to need to make your way to the Pack-a-Punch portal. You want to go inside, you want to hit the button over here on the opposite side of the projector, and it will spawn you into this RV, and at the end of it, you'll be able to pick up a head. Another thing you can do while you're in this RV is write down this number that is on the refrigerator. You are going to need it for later, but go ahead and note it down now. So for this next step, we're actually going to start placing down some parts. But before we do, we need to collect one more, which is in the ice cream shop. So you want to make your way over here, and in the same room where we've done a lot of stuff, on this desk, you will find a punch card. Now you want to make your way back over to spawn, and we can start placing down a lot of these parts. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to place all the zombie parts onto this little medical table here. To the left of it, you're going to place one of the mirrors. On these boxes of MREs, you're going to place another mirror, and on these boxes to the right of Up and Adams, you're going to place the last mirror. You're going to place the punch card in there next to that death ray, and now we can actually start this little next step. This next step requires you to kind of guess and check a code to input and charge this death ray. Now, it may seem a little confusing at first, but one thing to note is that the numbers for this code will always contain the numbers 4, 5, 6, 8, and 3. It can be in any order, but it will always contain those specific numbers. So as you can see here, my code that I got was 4, 3, 6, 5, and 8. So after you put in the correct code, what you want to do is interact with it again, and it will fire the death ray and recombine the zombie. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take the same code that you just used, but now you're going to input it backwards. So in my case, it's going to be 8, 5, 6, 3, and 4. And that will allow me to fire the death ray once again, and it will turn the zombie into a key that we can use to open the garage at the gas station. So once you're in this gas station, there's a couple of things you can also do. You can go ahead and place the bomb parts that we got earlier. You can also put the parts onto the chem station, and there's also some pages that you can collect for Elvira. These pages are technically optional, but you can go ahead and collect them if you want to. So before we start this next step, I want to preface it by letting you know that this is probably one of the more complicated, if not the most complicated step in zombies history. So get ready for it to be a little bit of a doozy, but let's go ahead and jump right in to the chemistry step for attack. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to head to Elvira's TV studio. To the right of Elvira, you're going to see this TV with a big eye at the top with a bunch of different numbers and colors. And what we're going to be doing next is figuring out how to decode what number and what color we're going to be using for the next step. Now, funny enough, right above Elvira, directly across from her, you'll see this little equation kind of hidden up in this glass booth. And this is the equation that we're going to use to actually figure out this eye color number. And there's two different variables that we're going to need, a O and an M. So let's go ahead and figure out where to get these numbers. So the first number we're going to work on is that O number. And if you remember earlier, I told you while we were getting the zombie head that you needed to write down a number that was in this RV on the refrigerator. This is going to be the first location. We don't have to come back here, but again, it's something that I told you to note down, and we're going to need it now for this step. Now there's three other locations for different O symbols around the map, and the first one you're going to be able to find is right underneath this bridge at the beach. So you can see it just underneath it. Go ahead, and you don't need to note it down, but just keep in mind the location. The next location is going to be up here from the bridge. You want to go towards the gas station, and it's going to be on the front door of the gas station. Finally, the last location for the O numbers is going to be here in the beachside market. It's going to be right above where we collected one of the pieces for the Chem station, above the couch in this little corner. So make your way to Elvira's TV station, and across from her is a station where you can change the color of the entire game. And the reason why you're going to want to do this is we have 4 different O numbers, right? We need to figure out which O number is the one that is actually correct, and you do this by changing the color of the film. There's 3 different colors that you can change the film to, and you want to go through and check all of the locations of the symbols and check which symbol has a do not equal sign now. So each time you change the color, one O number is going to be essentially eliminated from the list, and you know that it's eliminated when it has the do not equal sign on it. So as you can see, I've checked 2 different locations. Now I'm going to go check the one in the beachside market now, and that'll give me an idea of which one has been crossed out. So as you can see, all of the 3 that I just checked did not have a do not equal sign, which means the one that was in the Pack-a-Punch RV is the one that has the do not equal sign. One will always have a do not equal sign when you change the color of the film. So now you just want to continue to repeat the process, and now we're going to change it to green, and we're going to go check the same symbols. It's a little bit tedious when you're doing it solo, so if you are playing co-op, it does make the step a lot easier, as you can have someone checking or changing the color and someone else checking the symbols. But for now, since I'm playing solo, you change the color, you go check the symbols, and you find which one has the do not equal sign. So as you can see there, the symbol under the bridge had the do not equal sign, so I know which one to cross out for this color. And now I'm going to go change it to blue, and we're going to repeat the process. And there's only one more that's going to have the do not equal sign. So as you can see here, the one in front of the gas station has the equal sign, so I'm going to go, just to make sure, check the one in the beachside market. It should have the do not equal sign, which means I can cross this one out, leaving me with my O number in my game being 15. Yours is obviously going to be different, as this changes every single game, so your game will not be like mine. So now that we have our O number, the M number is much easier to get. You want to go right here to reception at the pool, and up at the top little corner, you will see the M number, and as you saw it in my game, it is 12. So now we have both the O number and the M number, and we can use that to calculate the I number, which is going to give us the color for the next step. So now we can head back to Elvira's TV studio, and again, right next to her is a TV that has a bunch of numbers, colors, and the I symbol. So now we know how to calculate this I symbol, which is the O number that we got times the M number. So you want to multiply these together, and it will give you a number, and using this TV, you should be able to figure out where and what range your number lies. So for instance, mine was 12 and 15, which means that my number is 180, and 180 is less than 181. So that means that for my game, my eye color is going to be blue, and you're going to need to make sure that you get this number and this color correct, as it's going to be used later on during the chemistry step to get a bunch of other numbers that is going to be integral to completing the step. So the next thing that we're going to need is a battery, and you can get these from the zombies that are carrying backpacks, and usually they typically start spawning around round 7 or 8. you want to pick up one of these batteries, and there are 2 different radios around the map that you can power, and it's a 50-50 chance that you get the right one. So the one that we're looking for is one that gives you quotes about different chemicals and how viable they are to defeat the radioactive thing. So this first radio can be found right next to power by this porta potty in the very back corner. You just go ahead and put the battery into the radio and it will start playing some quotes. The other radio can be found on the other side of the map by where we got the M number for the last up. It's going to be sitting on the couch, and you just put in the battery and it will start playing. Now again, we're looking for a very specific quote. So one of the radios is going to play audio lines that tell you how to mix chemicals and different ways that chemicals interact with each other. The other radio is going to play quotes regarding whether or not a chemical is viable to defeat the radioactive thing. And we're looking for specifically these quotes. It's a 50-50 chance whether or not you get the right radio. If you don't, get another battery, power the other radio, and you'll be good to go. I'm going to play my quote that I got that tells me the chemical that I need to use and need to make to defeat the radioactive thing. And there is a list of 4 or 5 different chemicals to use to defeat the radioactive thing, and it changes every game. So here is mine.
The most recent state of events have convinced me that 3,4-dinitroxymethylpropane is our best chance to defeat the radioactive thing.
So once you have what chemical that you need to make sure that you write this chemical down and do not forget it. We'll get to how to mix these chemicals later on. I'll have some cards that show all of the recipes, but for now, just make sure that you have the chemical written down and you have your O number at this point. We have one more thing that we need to go through and do, and then we can finally get to actually mixing the chemicals. So now what we're going to be doing is going through and getting a bunch of other numbers that we need to do the chemical mixing step. So if you remember earlier, we got this I number. This I number was used to pick a color off of the TV screen next to Elvira. This color is what you need to be viewing these chemical boards that are scattered around the map in. So if the color that you got from Elvira's TV was blue, you need to be viewing these chemical boards in the blue filtered color. The reason why is because the numbers on these chemical boards change depending on what color that you're looking at them at. So if you're in green, the numbers will be completely different if you're viewing the boards in the blue color. So make sure that you're on the correct color. This is the reason why I stressed it so hard earlier, why you get the correct number and color. So now for the locations of the boards, there's 6 different locations around the map where you can find these boards. And there are 2 specific numbers that you need to be looking at for each chemical. And we'll get to that here in a second. But for now, I'm just going to show you the locations of the boards. So the first one can be found right outside Elvira's TV station to the right of Bang Bangs. The next one can be found in the RV camp next to one of the RVs. The next one can be found on the beach all the way tucked in this little corner over here. The next one can be found in the gas station in the garage that we unlocked earlier. The next one can be found outside the beachside market on the power side. It's right up against the side of the building. And the last one can be found in spawn in the center area part of spawn. So now that you know where all of the chem board locations are, let me explain how to actually read these boards and use them. So again, just to make sure, you need to be reading these in the color that we got earlier from Elvira's TV, and you need to make sure that you have remembered your O number. All right, so how to actually read these boards. So the number that you're going to be reading off of these boards are the top and left number of the diamond. So this diamond is an actual thing in chemistry that tells you about a particular chemical. In this game, we're just looking at the top and left numbers. Now, something that I would suggest is just go through on your color, go to each chemical board and either take a picture, a screenshot, or something, and just have those for reference instead of writing all this down. There is a calculator that I'm going to show at the end of this entire step just to show how you can make it easier. But for now, I want to explain how to actually do this step if you don't want to use this calculator. All right, so let's get to the part that we've all been waiting for, the actual mixing of the chemicals. So just to make sure, there are 3 things that you should have. 1, you should have the chemical boards and the specific color that we got from Elvira's TV earlier on in the video. So you need to make sure that you've gotten all of the chemical boards in that specific color, and you have all the chemicals with their numbers written down. 2, you should have the O number that we got earlier. And you should also have the chemical that's needed to put into the bomb to defeat the radioactive thing. So first, let me go ahead and show you the different chemical formulas that you can use to make the different chemicals that go into the bomb to defeat the radioactive thing. Again, you'll have one that is specifically used in your game that you get from the radio, but these are all the different possible chemicals. So I'm not going to leave these on screen for too long. If you need to look at a specific chemical, go ahead and pause the video. But these are the 4 different chemicals that you can possibly get that you'll need to make for the radioactive thing. Alright, so now let's actually get to mixing the chemical, and I'm going to show you an example from my game of me mixing acetaldehyde. So for this, what you're going to need to make sure that you have, again, you need to make sure that you have the chemical that you need to defeat the radioactive thing. You're going to need your O number, and you're going to need all of the numbers from the chemical boards that we got earlier that you viewed specifically in your color that you got from Elvira's TV. So let's go ahead and mix acetaldehyde. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you go to mix a chemical is obviously to get the ingredients, and I'll have the ingredients posted after I show this explanation. But for acetaldehyde, it is vodka and pennies. So you see me, I just picked up vodka, and now I'm going to go and grab pennies, and you just grab them, put them onto the chem station, and now we can actually do the math part of it that you're going to have to do for each chemical. And each time you do a chemical, each time you mix one, you're going to have to punch in a number into the chemical station, and here's how you get that number. So this specific equation can be found directly next to the chem station, and it seems more complicated than it actually is. So all it means is you need to take the top and left numbers from the chemical boards that we got earlier and add all those numbers together. And then you want to subtract your own number. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like for, in my game, acetaldehyde. So we know that acetaldehyde is vodka and pennies mixed together. And we know this from the graphics that I put in the video earlier that showed you all of the chemical formulas. So in my game, on my chemical board, this is what vodka looked like, and this is what pennies look like. So as you can see, vodka is 9 and 2 for the top and left numbers, and pennies is 9 and 5 for the top and left numbers. So now we have the top and left numbers for both chemicals. What we want to do is take each one and add them all together, and we'll get a summation of all of the numbers. So in my case, I have 9 plus 2 plus 9 plus 5, which equals 25. And now we need to subtract our O number from this result. So my O number in my game was 15. So I'm going to subtract 15 from 25, which gives me 10. So once you have calculated that number and have put all your chemicals down onto the chem table, punch in this number. As you can see, I did 10, and it will successfully mix the chemical. Now, let's say you either put in the wrong chemicals, put in the wrong number, or you have the wrong O number or whatever. You do the calculations wrong, you input this number, it will break everything in the chem station, everything will explode, and it will damage you to 1 health. So you need to be careful if you're doing this on solo and you aren't sure that you have things correct. Make sure that you lead the zombie out before you hit the start reaction button. So now for the different chemical locations. The first chemical that you can find is insect repellent, which is found in spawn. Fat can be found in the freezer in the beachside market. You are going to need the cleaver to be able to hit this meat and get the fat though. Plant food can be found outside the building where Quickies is. Paint can be found to the left of Racing Stripes on the backside of this building. Nail polish remover can be found in the little reception building where we got the M number. Drain opener can be found in the bathrooms in the RV park. Motor oil can be found in the garage where the Chem station is on the ground. Racing fuel can also be found outside the garage next to this chair. For this one, you're going to need the crowbar, but these payphones outside of the garage, you can hit this one and it will give you quarters. So the next few of these are going to be in the beachside market. Right here in the front, you can find glass cleaner. When you walk in down the middle aisle, you can find baking soda. On the opposite side of the aisle where baking soda is, you can find wheel cleaner. On the aisle on the side closest to Deadeye Dewdrops, you can find a detergent. All the way on the far side, across from where you got a detergent, there is a liquor cabinet and you can grab vodka. All the way in the back offices of the beachside market, you can find vinegar. And finally, at the cash register in the beachside market, you can hit it with the crowbar and it will give you pennies. So now all you want to do is keep repeating the chemical step and do all of the chemicals to make your chemical for the radioactive thing. So as you can see here, I'm going to put in my last chemical, mix it, and then grab it off of the Chem station. And now you want to put it into the bomb. And after you put it into the bomb, you are ready to go into the boss fight. So make sure that you are prepared. Make sure you have Pack-a-Punch, perks, anything that you need before you go into this boss fight. So when you are ready to go into the boss fight, go ahead and make your way into the garage and interact with the bomb. Everyone in your game is going to have to interact with the bomb to start the teleportation sequence. And once it is complete, every player needs to interact with the bomb and you will be teleported into the boss fight. And you can start escorting the bomb to the other end of the beach. And every time you touch it right here, as you can see, you're going to get a bunch of fireballs. And this first part is just to kind of get it in your head, like how this step works. But eventually you're going to make your way past this bridge here. I'm going to speed it up. As you can see, you're going to make your way past this bridge, fight off the little zombies that you need to, and after you make it to the other side of the bridge on the beach, you'll start to get the orbs coming at you again. Now, for me, my strategy is to use explosive touch. As long as you stay onto the bomb and keep it moving, you will not get the orbs again. However, if you find yourself not using explosive touch and you're constantly moving on and off the bomb to avoid the orbs, every time you come back to the bomb, it'll spawn another wave of orbs. So it does make it take longer to get the bomb down the beach. So to end this first phase, all you need to do is get the bomb all the way down to the end of the beach. And once you get it down here, the bomb will launch into the radioactive thing and the radioactive thing will eat the bomb. And now you're on to the second phase where you need to damage the radioactive thing using the death rays that are placed around the beach. So I personally like using the one that's up here. So what you want to do is you want to get onto the death ray and you want to time the shot to shoot the center of the radioactive thing's chest. And it can be quite difficult to do it because the only time his chest lights up is when he's doing an attack. And he has multiple different attacks that he can do. His favorite attack to do is this laser attack that he keeps spamming on my game. But he has other attacks like where he'll slam down with his claws or he'll shoot more of those orbs out of his back. So once you've shot him roughly about 3, 4, sometimes 5 times, I think if you're playing co-op, he'll do this little wiggle animation signifying that he's ready to go to the next phase. And to start the next phase, you're going to need to interact with where the bomb was held at the end of the beach, and it will start the teleportation sequence. So once you start the teleportation sequence, you'll start seeing that the radioactive thing will start spewing this green goo all over the beach, and he does it in 3 different sections. So he's going to spray goo down on the front of the beach, and then he's going to shoot 2 waves of Krog eggs. And this is where I was talking about at the very beginning of the video, where the auger, the FHR, some kind of fast shooting, high damage weapon is really good to shoot these Krog eggs out of the air. So he'll put down a wave of goo, shoot 2 waves of Krog eggs, put down another layer of goo that will progress further up the beach, do another 2 waves of Krog eggs, and then he will progress you all the way to the back of the beach and do another 2 waves of Krog eggs, and this is that section of the boss fight complete. So now once you get to the section, this is where you need to make sure that you've remembered your bomb code, and now you're gonna have to do the laser step. And there's a couple different ways you can do this. One is the actual legitimate way, which is where you traverse the laser field. So as you can see, I'm going to do the jump and slides that you need to do to progress through the laser field and enter the bomb. However, there is another way that I'm going to show you real quick before we get to this bomb sequence. So this other strategy to do the laser step allows you to completely skip it, and it's using the mana up card that I mentioned earlier. So what you want to do is you want to make your way, get to the point where you've gotten through that last wave of Krog eggs, and as soon as that last wave of Krog eggs comes through, you want to pop the mana up card and just traverse the green goo down to where the bomb is, and you'll get there before the laser step even actually starts. Alright, so I'm going to show the laser step one more time on screen, but in order for this laser step to complete, everyone in your game, so if you're playing co-op, and let's say you're playing with 4 people, all 4 people in the game need to make it through this laser field or use the mana up strategy that I mentioned earlier. Something else that I also almost forgot to mention is you also have a very limited time to get through this laser field. So you need to get through it in about roughly 8 to 10 seconds, I want to say, and everyone has to get through it. And if everyone doesn't get through it, someone dies or someone takes too long, you'll have to repeat the entire teleportation step where you have to get the radioactive thing to spew goo everywhere and do the Krog eggs and all that stuff again. Everyone has to make it to the end, and everyone has to do the next step correctly too, which is inputting the bomb code. So let's go ahead and see what that step looks like. Once you've made your way into the bomb, what you're going to have to do is input the bomb code that we got way earlier from the safe. And again, I mentioned that you needed to write it down because you are not able to view the bomb code in the scoreboard when you're inside the radioactive thing's stomach. So all players in your game are going to have to input the code that you got for the bomb code correctly, and you get a few attempts, but eventually if you don't put it in right, or if not everyone puts it in correctly, you will be kicked out of the bomb. And when you're kicked out of the bomb, you'll have to repeat the entire teleportation step. So that includes the beach being covered in goo, Crogzilla throwing out the Krog eggs, as well as repeating the laser step, and also inputting the bomb code. So once everyone in your game inputs the bomb code correctly, you'll be teleported out of the stomach and the Easter egg cutscene will play. And congratulations, you have done the Attack of the Radioactive Thing Easter egg.
Anybody want shellfish for dinner?
I'm pretty sure I'm never eating shellfish again. Ever.
Ugh, you and me both.
I am really feeling the need to get out of this place, time period, whatever you want to call it. Maybe off to somewhere with a little more color.
Ready when you are, my friend.
Ugh! Oh, this is so nasty. Oh, oh, oh.
Oh, shit. If you guys thought the zombies were bad.
What is it? Some kind of big...
Shut up, AJ!
What? What did I say?
To be continued.
So thank you all for watching. This is my first guide that I've done for IW Zombies, especially a first guide that I've done voiceover. So if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.